Hello, and thank you all for joining us. I'm Debbra McGrath, Principal Product Marketing Engineer with ServiceNow and last Thursday's webinar host. We're happy to be joined today by two of our best SPM and APM subject matter experts, Gerard Berthet, Senior Principal Product Manager, who will discuss and demo our Enhanced Technology Portfolio Management, or TPM capability. And Gerard will be joined by Mark Castoe, Principal Product Success Manager, for his commentary and best practice insights. But first, let's take a look at our safe harbor notice. While most of what we'll be discussing and showing are features that are available as of our Vancouver release, this presentation may contain forward-looking statements that reflect the current beliefs of ServiceNow, all based on current information available. However, actual results may differ materially and should not be relied upon in making purchasing decisions. Gerard and Mark, thanks for being here. I know you have a lot to cover over this half hour, so I'm going to turn it over to you now.
Thank you, Deborah. Yeah, so at a high level, application portfolio management, APM, its main focus is to help you modernize your application estate, your application portfolio, if you want. And the whole intent is to reduce costs, of course, and to minimize or even eliminate your technology risk. So the main persona that we're targeting here is the enterprise architect. This is the person who actually ties the application portfolio and make sure that it's aligned with the business strategy. So what is driving the application modernization? First of all, you have multiple systems of record, right? Possibly many spreadsheets, many tools, etc., makes it very difficult to make decisions because there's different types of normalized data. At the same time, there's lots. Over time, you may have deployed lots of applications. Some of them might be redundant. Some of them you may not know about it, etc. So there are probably lots of costs that you can manage better and eliminate. The other one is that as you have a proliferation of applications, there's obviously a proliferation of technologies. And by technology, I mean hardware and software. And some of that hardware and software is going to reach its end of support, end of extended support, end of life. And that provides an exposure in terms of security, in terms of robustness, reliability, and therefore it provides an exposure to delivering the right service to your customers. And then the other thing is that you may have some misalignment. You may have some different roadmaps for different applications. So you need to consolidate all of this. So what we see is that also customers are very much asking for help on accelerating their cloud adoption. So what are we going to focus on today? Mostly on what the feature that we call technology portfolio management, which helps you understand how these end-of-life technologies impact your applications. Just a few acronyms here: ITOM, IT Operation Management; ITAM, IT Asset Management, which includes both software asset management and hardware asset management. And then we have Application Portfolio Management, which includes Technology Portfolio Management and TRM, Technology Reference Model. So again, we're going to focus on TPM today. So what is the basic foundation for APM? First of all, obviously, there is your application portfolio, right? Whether they're on-prem or in the cloud, it doesn't matter. It's an application portfolio that that is helping you deliver your business strategy. On one side, you have the technology, right? So that's where you need to reduce the cost, the risk, etc., and enforce some standards within the organization and eliminate any kind of technical debt. The second part is the business. So that's where you need to align your applications to the business strategy. And then the third one is obviously all the information which is associated with that technology and with a business application and so on. So you need some visibility into all these different data assets and preferably all in one place, so that you can make better decision and to help you rationalize your application portfolio. And obviously we are ServiceNow, so all of this runs on the Now platform. It's all using the CSDM or common service data model. And so that means that all applications at ServiceNow can talk to each other and work better together. So we're going to focus again on this part, on the technology side, where we have technology portfolio management and technology reference model. And primarily we're going to focus on technology portfolio management. All right, so just at a high level, how does it work? We have ITOM helps you do the discovery and the service mapping. So it discovers your hardware, software in your infrastructure and builds, put that information into the CMDB. We have ITAM, IT asset management, which keeps track of all your software and hardware assets. It's also keeping track of all the life cycles through. We have a content team that collects this data and feeds all of this into the ITAM repository. And then APM, application portfolio management, basically brings in this more logical level of business applications. So business applications are actually an aggregation of application services which are defined through service mapping. So APM actually brings in the information, both these application services and the life cycles for hardware and software, and brings you this global view of your technology risk for your business applications. This is really a nice aggregated view of both the hardware, software, and the life cycles, and an assessment of your technology risk. So what does it look like? Well, APM, application portfolio management, is primarily accessible through what we call the enterprise architecture workspace. You have a view here. At the top level, you have, we provide some insights. For example, both at the application portfolio, business portfolio, information portfolio, and technology portfolio. This is aligned with the previous slide that I was showing you. And the insight section actually gives you things that you need to be concerned about. Another section is needs attention. And this is where we remind you of things that you need to take care of. And then we also have a portfolio overview and health. So everything, the idea of a workspace is that you open this application and you don't need to go anywhere else, right? Everything is within that window. Technology portfolio management actually gives you a view of all the hardware and software that is being used by your business applications. And then we give you the lifecycle dates and the lifecycle exposure. We also present it in a graphical way. So we have what we call the concept of a Gantt chart to more visually see where those life cycles fit in. Then once we have assessed this technology risk, we actually use that to calculate what we call a TPM risk. What is this? A TPM risk is a way to basically normalize the technology risk across all your hardware and software, so that you can then better rationalize your business portfolio. So based on that technology risk, individually by fiscal period, we also allow you to calculate an overall score at the business application level. So, and that overall score may include technology risk, it may include customer satisfaction, it may include the number of incidents, and so on. So these are the overall score of a business application includes many what we call indicators that you choose. So, and And you can also add to the list of indicators that you may want to track to help you in doing the rationalization. And finally, how do you actually visualize all these scores across many dimensions? We have what we call this concept of a bubble chart that allows you to draw this chart where you can select the x-axis, you can select the y-axis, and the size of the bubbles. So it's a very visual way for you to slice and dice all these indicator scores across multiple dimensions. And from that, you can decide whether you want to sustain, whether you want to invest, migrate, or retire an application. So this feature actually will be coming up in next month in the store release. All right, so now let's move to a demo. I mean, a picture is worth 1,000 words, but I think a demo is worth 1,000 pictures. So let me quickly jump to that.
I love that, Gerard. You use that.
All right, so this is the enterprise architecture workspace. And it has multiple elements on the left-hand side. The home page, it's got a dashboard page, it's got a business portfolio, it has the application rationalization section, and then it has a portfolio where you can see all the data and ultimately a setup section. So when we look at the home section here, as I said, Insights gives you the kind of thing that you should be concerned about. So as part of TPM, we have one section called Technology Portfolio. As you can see here, I can say, well, show me the risk within the next month, within the next 6 months, within the next 18 months. So let's say I can see that over the next 18 months, I've got 2 business applications with some lifecycle risk. Where does this lifecycle risk come from? It comes from the hardware and software elements, right? And not only that, we also tell you which servers and how many servers are actually concerned with this technology risk, which is where the software and hardware applies. So let's look, for example, at the business application with lifecycle. So as you can see, this is grouped by business applications. So I can look at this business application called Buy It, and it has lifecycle risk based on hardware and software, as you can see here. It gives you the name of the software product. If it's hardware, of course, there is no software associated with it. It tells you what is the hardware model, the actual server name, and then it gives you the lifecycle dates that it was able to pull in from the ITAM content library. And it highlights the end of support date, end of extended support date, and end of life date, and the red dates highlight basically the one that fall into the timeline that you had selected earlier. So what does it mean to have empty dates here? That means the content library didn't have any dates available. It only had an end of support date. The one thing that we've done is that we've fully automated the collection of these lifecycle dates. So once you've done your discovery of your application services, that includes both association of hardware and software elements to it, APM then goes to the content library and tries to determine the best lifecycle, the best matching for the lifecycles that it knows about to the version of the hardware or software element that is running in your infrastructure. But not only that, but it also applies some heuristics. For example, if you are running Oracle, let's say 10.3.2, the content library may only know about life cycles for Oracle 10.3. So we will approximate to version 10.3 and give you that information. At the same time, we will tell you that all these approximations are actually reported here in this table in the needs attention, which is what we call the technology portfolio audit. This is where all the approximations take place. For example, on this one, we had an end-of-life approximation, and there was an exact match on the edition of that software, but we did an approximation on the full version. So you are in full control of the correctness of the data. You can then either verify it or reject it. By default, as soon as we found a new entry, we'll mark it as need to verify so that you can take care of it and validate it. Okay. So this is primarily what TPM does. Based on your inventory of hardware and software, your application services, and the association of those services to business applications, we're able to give you this global view of the technology portfolio risk based on the lifecycle dates. We have a dashboard as well, which gives you a variety of metrics that we are visualizing here. They are driven by a filter. For example, you could select which category of application you're interested in, which type of application. Maybe you only want to see the dashboard for a given application owner. And down below, we have some widgets here. For example, you can see the top 10 business applications with the normalized TPM risk. So it gives you the applications which have the highest technology risk, and so on. This dashboard page actually is extensible by your team. You can edit it in the UI builder. You can create new widgets. So it's very customizable. In the homepage, you also have a section on portfolio overview and health. So the overview section gives you various KPIs, how many business applications you have, how many business capabilities, how many information objects. And the portfolio health section gives you, for example, the number of business applications which are not associated with a capability, or the business application without an owner. Again, this is a section that you can tune to your needs. You can add additional counters here. It's very customizable. The other section is the business portfolio. I'll come back to that in a moment. But actually, it will show you the various business capabilities. So it's for those of you who are actually grouping your business application by business capabilities. So this gives you a global view not only of the scores of your applications, but also the scores at the capability level. As we have some customers that we've seen like to do rationalization either at the business application level or at the business capability level. So you can do either or here. And then finally, you have the summary view of all the scores across your business applications. If I scroll to the right, okay, I've limited the number of columns that I can see, but you can show all the scores that you want using this customization section. Within that view, you can also see within this application how many demands were submitted, how many projects are in progress. Then this information comes from strategic portfolio management. So as you can see, the enterprise architect has everything at their disposal right here in the enterprise architecture workspace. The last section is actually the technology portfolio. This is where you can see all the information that is available in APM. For example, you can see the list of all your business applications. You can see the list of all your application services. You can see all the elements managed by technology portfolio management, by TPM, right? So as you can see here, there's multiple business applications, there's multiple hardware and software elements, and you can see all the life cycles. Some of them may, so here on the left-hand side, we actually give you the earliest life cycle date, which is the one that you should be most concerned about. If there is no life cycle date, that means basically there was no life cycles that were found for this particular software or hardware. And again, that gives you visibility into what information is missing for you to do proper rationalization. We also define what we call the TPM risk. So as I said before, based on how far a particular piece of hardware or software is from an end of support or end of extended support or end of life, based on that, we basically calculate a risk. So the closer you are to a life cycle date coming up, the higher the risk, right? And the higher the risk if it's end of support versus if it's end of life as opposed to just end of support, right? So we have an algorithm that you can change if you want to, but out of this, basically we calculate what we call a normalized value, a score, right? And we do this basically through each fiscal period. Typically what we see is our customers compute this on a quarterly basis, but you can do it on a monthly basis if you want to, or even on a yearly basis. But this allows you then to see the progression of your rationalization scores over time. So when you, and this is what then can be used in the rationalization view. So I showed you the list view, but the key part is really the bubble, what we call the bubble chart. This is where you can view, for example, I'm viewing on the x-axis the customer satisfaction score versus the functional fit. And if I look here, the bubble size is actually the technical risk. If I were to change this maybe to say functional fit versus business value score, and I'm looking at maybe customer satisfaction, I can apply this. And this gives me a different layout. So again, this view is to allow you to slice and dice your different indicator scores across many dimensions. The legend, as you can see, is whether an application has been determined to either sustain, invest, migrate, or retire, or whether it's not defined. Each one of these quadrants actually corresponds to a suggestion. And so if an application falls into this quadrant here, it's an application that you should consider investing in because it has high functional fit and high business value. If it's on the lower right quadrant, this is probably something that you want to migrate because it really doesn't provide a lot of business value. In the upper left corner would be something where you want to sustain your application. It still provides a lot of business value, not a good functional fit, but it provides some business value. So let's just sustain it. And then in the lower left corner is where it has low functional fit, for example, and low business value. So these are the kind of application that you should consider retiring. And I think that summarizes my presentation for technology portfolio management. At the business application level, for example, let's see, if I were to look at my business applications, within the business application view, you have various pieces of information, such as the information object, the scoring, the overall score for rationalization by fiscal period. You have architecture reviews, documents, you have TPM discovered technology. So this is your technology risk specific to this application. You also have architectural artifact, digital interfaces, digital integration. So anyway, the whole intent here is to provide the enterprise architect a complete view of their business application. For those of you who are interested, there's a blog that Mark has written on technology portfolio management, getting started. It's available in the community. So, Mark, expand a little bit more on your blog here. Can you share with us the best practices to bring in TPM in the organization?
Right. So it all begins with just establishing your APM practice and, establishing those processes to maintain the business applications. And your next steps are to align those business applications to their deployments. Deployment of a business application in ServiceNow under CSDM is something we call an application service. So when you reach a level of maturity such that you have your application portfolio under management, you have it associated with the deployments, at least perhaps you might start with the production ones and pick up other environments, disaster recovery instances, et cetera, at a later date. But you align to the deployments. Those deployments are service mapped. In other words, this is how you tie into the physical world, your CMDB. Where are the servers, the CIs, the infrastructure that supports and makes this application run? With that foundation, and if you have SAM Pro or HAM Pro, both software asset management, hardware asset management, they are in turn working with CMDB and discovery to discover and normalize the software that's installed on these systems. So if you think of it as two parallel threads, you're bringing up your operations management, CMDB, IT operations management, you bring up your practice in IT asset management, where you're really looking for your licensing and license consumption. That information we can capitalize on in APM and determine this technology bill of materials, the vendor life cycles, determine vendor life cycle risk, software obsolescence, we call it. And so it can be done in parallel. One doesn't have to precede another, depending upon resources and your ability to take on work. But a best practice is to have those threads of APM going while you mature your ITOM and your ITAM, IT operations, IT asset management practices as well. That way things are ready. Soon as you have mapped application services, you can begin working with TPM.
Thank you, Mark. And again, I'll refer the blog on the community on getting started with TPM. So Deborah, tell us more about events and resources coming up.
Thank you, Gerard and Mark. That was a great discussion and demo of these really important TPM concepts. And of course, Mark, the valuable best practice guidance is much appreciated. And we appreciate you working behind the scenes, answering the many questions that were coming in. We do have some events and resources to share with you that we think you'll find informative. First, on Monday, November 6th, Live on Now will present a webinar on getting started with Strategic Portfolio Workspace. SPW extends the value of your existing innovation, demand, and project management applications. And we've been continually adding additional capabilities to SPW over the last couple of years. So we recommend this webinar to learn how to get started with Strategic Planning Workspace. And on Thursday, November 30th, last Thursday's, Irene Veith and I will take a look at our new product feedback application. We'll show you how to collect all types of customer feedback in a single location so you can gain insights into what your customers like, don't like, and wish for with respect to your products and services. And you can register for any of these events at community.servicenow.com under events. And of course, you can view this TPM webinar again or access any of our prior last Thursday's webinars on demand from our YouTube playlist, Last Thursdays with SPM Webinars. For resources, we shared this last month, but we find it really applies with this topic as well. Check out this solution brief, which talks about how you can manage interdependent hardware and software resources to eliminate silos, reduce risk, and meet audits and compliance requirements, as well as supporting your business strategy. And for additional resources, including datasheets, ebooks, solution briefs, visit our APM product page at servicenow.com/products/application-portfolio management. Thank you again, Gerard and Mark. Thank you to my co-producer, John Lim, and a huge thank you to our Last Thursday's audience for joining us. We'll see you on our next Last Thursday's webinar.